morning, dear students. Welcome back to another lecture video on second unit, that is diagrams and graphical presentation. So, let's start with a basic introduction of what is diagrams. Diagram is basically a visual aid or a visual form of presenting any statistical data. Now, any statistical data can be in terms of percentage, it could be in terms of numerical fact, numerical information associated or related to any other aspect. So these different types of data, put it in paragraph, we might not understand. So the second way or the attractive way of making everyone to understand the statistical data is diagrams and through graph. So what is a diagram now? A diagram is a visual aid or a visual form of presenting a statistical data. Now diagrams can be of different types. Now what are these diagrams? Diagrams are like bars, circular diagrams, maps, pictorials, and different types of cartograms are called diagrams. So anything which is attractive to a layman to understand, and that is add on few other concepts or few other attachment of bar diagram, or it could be a line diagram. Anybody can understand diagram, but it is difficult for a layman to understand statistical information. If those informations are put together in form of any pictorial representation, it is very easy for us to understand. So let's understand what are the different importance of diagrams now. The first is it should be simple and it should be attractive, which makes the information easily understandable for everyone. And they also give us a quick information, a quick glance of what entire data is. Keeping these diagrams, I as a layman or I as a researcher or an investigator, it helps me to compare the different variables which is available for me. And it is also more suitable to illustrate. It is more useful for discrete data analysis. It is very much useful for me in terms of that. And it is also have a stable effect in reader's mind. If any types of paragraphs are involved, it takes us numerous of effort in understanding those terms. But in terms of diagrams, it is easy for me to not remember the paragraph, but if I tell something in terms of pictorial, if I represent something in pictorial or in terms of diagrams or charts, it is easy for me to grasp. It is easy for me to always keep it in my mind. So that is also one of the effective way of representing data in diagrams and graph. Now, diagrams and graph also have certain limitations or certain demerits or certain disadvantages. Now we'll see what are the different types of limitations involved in it. Diagrams will give us only an approximate value. It is not going to give me an authenticated, accurate information. Approximately this could be the answer, or approximately this might be the answer. That is what it is trying to give us. Second important thing is keeping diagrams, it is very difficult for me to go for a further analysis. Meaning, if I have discrete frequency, descriptive frequency analysis, descriptive frequency or descriptive analysis or frequencies we have, statistical values we have. It is not helpful for me if I have a bar graph. Keeping the bar graph, it is very, difficult for me to draw conclusion. What am I going to do after bar diagram? Can I use the bar diagram for any other statistical tools, for any other analysis? That again is a question mark. So diagrams are not very much suitable for further analysis or further investigation of inquiries. So it is very, very difficult. The third is some diagrams are limited to experts. Only certain diagrams layman can understand. Certain diagrams are limited to it is only limited, or some multi-dimensional diagrams are limited to experts. So keeping this limited information, as a researcher I cannot do anything. As a researcher I cannot do a further study Only a layman can understand a bar diagram. Everybody can understand a bar diagram. But after bar diagram, beyond bar diagram, keeping the statistical information, what am I going to do? How am I going to draw conclusion? Only bar diagram is enough for me. Keeping the information is enough for me? No. So that is why some diagrams are limited to experts. Expert is not able to draw further conclusion keeping these diagrams. Details are not provided fully. We have only two sets of data or three sets of data. We have a multiple bar diagram, a vertical bar diagram, or it could be a line diagram, or it could be a histogram, or it could be a cartogram, pie chart, whatever it is. So keeping the pictorial representation, I cannot come to a conclusion. So this is a story which is happening. So it is not evident for me to have, or it is not going to project or give me the entire data. It is going to give me only limited data. So details are not provided fully. The last type, it is useful only for comparing, and you cannot use the data for further analysis. That is what they're trying to say. Further analysis is very, very difficult, keeping only diagrams and graph. Now we are moving to the third important, general rules for constructing diagram. In order to construct the diagram, what and all we have to keep it in mind. So pre-requirements of constructing a perfect diagram. First thing is each diagram should have a suitable title. So that title should have a theme, and that theme should be intended either at the top or at the bottom. That is what they're trying to say. So each diagram should have a suitable title, meaning there should be a title, and that title should have a theme. According to a theme, the diagrams are intended to either be at the bottom or at top. So it should have a proper theme. It should have a proper title, first of all. The second important thing is the size of the diagram is very, very important character of the data. So the size of the diagram, either a pictorial graph, either a pie chart, either a vertical diagram or a rectangular diagram, the size matters a lot. The size of the diagram will emphasize on the important feature of a particular data. So it is very, very important to take note of the size of the diagram. The third important thing is approximate proposition should be maintained. That means length and the breadth of diagram. In terms of rectangular bar diagram, the first vertical bar diagram is of, say, for example, it could be 2 centimeters. But at the same time, if you see the second vertical bar diagram would be 4 centimeters. So that is why the length and the breadth of diagram is, it should have an approximate proposition. It should maintain the length and the breadth of the diagram. So equally, it should be distributed. A proper suitable scale should be applied for a diagram. So even a point difference matters a lot. So a proper scaling, a suitable scaling has to be applied for a diagram. That is very, very important. Finally, selection of approximate diagram is important, and wrong selection may mislead the reader. So sources of data should be mentioned bottom of the diagram. Sources means it is a primary data or either it is a secondary data. What is primary data now? We have two different types of data. Under primary data, fresh new informations are collected by the researcher or the investigator. So that should be, where the source of data, where it is derived from where. So that has to be very properly, it should be there in the bottom left side or the right side of the diagram. It should have the source. If it is a secondary data, already available data from the net or from the website, blog, report, any kind of an article, so where have been derived, where is the roots of the secondary data, that should be clearly mentioned. And diagrams should be, clearly made understandable for a reader. It should not confuse a reader. It should not mislead a reader. So diagrams should be simple and attractive. Then if you see, diagram should be effective. It should not be very much complex. We have different types of diagram. We have line diagram. This is the simplest type of one-dimensional diagram. So one-dimension diagram is based on the size of the figures, the heights of the bar, and the lines that has been drawn. So make sure that line diagram is one of the simplest type of the diagram. It is also called as one-dimensional diagram, where it is on the basis of the size of the figures, the height of the bars, or the lines are drawn. The distance between bars are kept very much uniform. Uniform in the sense it should be equal. The limitation of this particular diagram it is not attractive and it cannot provide more than one particular set of information. So if you can see in this data, we have frequency and we have number of times that teenager is reminded. If you could see, except this set of diagram, it is very difficult for me to draw conclusion. So line diagrams are one-dimensional diagram, which is going to give me only one set of information. Apart from that, it is very difficult for me to draw conclusion. Simple bar diagram are drawn using horizontal either or vertical bar diagram. In business or in economics, it is very common to have these types of diagrams. So this is how a simple bar diagram looks. If you could see here, the bars are equal, uniformly arranged. It is uniformly constructed. Each size, the breadth and the length, everything is uniformly constructed. So it is called simple bar diagram. Quickly moving on to the multiple bar diagram. So multiple bar diagram is if two or more sets of informations are given to me. Multiple bar diagrams are used to provide more information than simple bar diagram. So multiple bar diagram also, it is highly used for a direct comparison, and the bars are drawn side by side and different columns adjacent to the each bars are adjacent to each other, shades are hatched, and it can be used for indicating different types of variables. If you could see here, each of the bar diagram, it has been attached, and each individual green, red, blue is representing different types of data. Then we have subdivided bar diagram. A subdivided bar diagram is a way of representing one set of or two sets of information in a single bar diagram. Subdivided bar diagram. First of all, we construct a vertical bar diagram. If you could see, we construct a bar diagram. On top of the bar diagram, we are classifying, or we can compare within the bars. That is the beauty of subdivided bar diagram. Subdivided bar diagram is a way of presenting a data in which the total length of bar is divided into different parts and the components in a particular ratio depending upon the contributions of various data. So these are the various types of data, and we have percentage bar diagram. Now percentage bar diagram is it is derived from subdivided bar diagram itself. So in this, if you see, each bar has the same height, the same breadth. Each bar is divided into different sections based on the percentages that is earlier calculated according to the contribution of each sector. Now, percentage bar diagram are also useful widely. It is also having a direct comparison, and it is also because of subdivided bar diagram. In such cases, it is not very much easy, and approximate results are not derived because we cannot assume few things. So percentage bar diagram are used when the values are very high, and this is because using subdivided bar diagram is not very much easy for a layman to classify or understand, because it is not that easy, and it is also not going to give us an approximate result. That is one of the drawback of this percentage bar diagram. If you could see, the percentage component bar diagram is looking like this. So first we construct a bar diagram, and then we subdivide the bar diagram. All the subdivisions are made prior to the calculation done by the researcher. So today we have learned different types of bar diagram. We have learned the definition of diagram. We have learned the importance of diagram. We have also learned the limitations, and finally we have learned about the different types of diagram. I hope that everybody is able to understand what is taught.